Welcome to an episode of Vidhi, Footprints and Sands of Time. This is a tale of survivors and achievers.
Hello everyone, welcome to Vidhi, the Footprints on the Sands of Time. Today we have with us a very inspiring, distinguished guest who's come all the way from Scotland, UK. I would like to introduce Miss Sam McCall to all of you who lives in the UK right now. She is an author, she's a writer, she's a wonderful human being. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you with us. I would like to start by asking you a very dear question because you love writing and you're an author. Where did the passion towards writing and the art of storytelling actually start?
It didn't start like that.
Right.
It did not start with a passion. It started from a place of having lost a lot of things in my life and not really knowing what to do with myself. I thought, okay, I live in this tiny little box. I have 2 little children, and I thought I will buy a computer, which was 40 years ago. That was 30 years ago. That was quite new, very new to me. So I bought the first clunky Apple, and it looked like I wish I still had it because I think it'd be worth money. But it was just like this little ridged box, and then I paid money to do a writing course. I had no ambition to write. I just thought it would keep me busy in the evenings, and I remember it cost £300. And if you hadn't earned the £300 back by the time you'd finished the writing course, they would refund the money.
Oh,
so right. I thought, okay, I have nothing to do. So it was something like on the back of one of those women's magazines. Okay. So then I got it, and the first question was literally part A of the first question, and there were maybe like part all the alphabet, 26 to question 1. Was read 400 books.
Wow.
So it was impossible to finish the course. That was the trick. So it was really a scam.
Oh.
And I began, and the very first question turned into my first novel. Because I knew I wasn't going to finish the course. I think they asked me to write a beginning of a plan or something like that. And then I became obsessed.
Oh, wonderful.
But I never became... I always liked to finish something, so it was not so much of a gift as an obsession. And it became that I really needed to learn how to write a book.
Right.
And I'm still learning. And I'm still reading Chekhov and Tolstoy and analysing their work. But yeah, and nowadays I go, oh yes, exactly, that's what you need to do, because I have learned that, and
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I try and again, rewrite,
right,
but it's never easy for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought process that goes into writing, because we need to, you need to synthesize the thoughts you have when it comes to words, and everybody has a different style of writing, right?
And you don't know which style.
Yeah.
It takes years, and actually I've written 3 books now, and I'm still not entirely sure which is my style.
Yeah.
So the first book I wrote in the past tense, I went, she went, and then the second book I wrote in the present tense with from the first person. So this is no thoughts, no, all in a way a stream of consciousness. That's this one. And then the third book, which is about India, I did it over 40 years. The story is over 40 years, about 2 young boys, one Indian, one Scottish, who meet at a boarding school in 1980, and it is the Indian man looking back over their lives who tells the book.
Oh,
so that's a very different style. And a lot of it is letters, so that's first person.
Oh.
So I really like that.
Wonderful.
And then there's a lot of past, because he's talking about the past to us in quite a philosophical way. So that's my third book, and I don't know what I'm going to do next. Maybe nothing.
No, we are really looking forward to
I'm finished now.
when you actually try to understand the psyche of writers, they travel. They are either travelers across geographic land, sometimes time, and looks like you have done both. So,
A little.
what about
I don't travel so much.
You don't travel so much?
No.
So what
I've been to India maybe 6 times, and always for a bit of time, except for having my teeth done, which has been 2 weeks. But I'm not a good traveller. I like to settle. So when I've come to India before, I've gone to one place, I've stayed there. And when I was 20, I travelled around, but I didn't like the travel, and I always would stay a month in each place.
So how many? You told that you have been to India for 6 times. So how would you describe traveling in India and your tryst with India? What does India, the emotion that India brings to you?
Confusion. Always surprising, I think. Never understanding, I suppose. And also, I think, the caste system. When I was 19, I kind of thought it was brilliant, because I imagined, being on a bit of a hippie thing when I was 19, that it was that the lower caste had the gift of understanding where they belonged. I think about that very differently now. I'm a socialist, and I think very differently, but I still don't understand. Nothing is clear to me in India. So maybe that was why I wanted to write about it, because I did a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of Googling, a bit of it's set in Delhi and Haridwar and Jodhpur, so I spent some time in those places. But my writing is much more about getting into the psychological state of my characters, and in one sense it's universal. If you're frightened, you're frightened. If you're, whatever, it's the same in a way. But the different psychologies of India, I had to work pretty hard to find how a lawyer in Jodhpur would think about being exposed as having committed fraud, as compared to a lawyer in the UK. He would maybe find the whole thing far more shattering, and his career might be finished more completely than in the UK. I don't know. I may do know for my character, but I wouldn't like to say.
Great. Which is your favorite place in India?
I don't know, actually. I couldn't say. I am very fond of Calcutta, because I spent quite a lot of time there when I was very young, and then I was there a few years ago with my family, and that meant a lot, having family. So I wouldn't like to say. It's all just been lovely to see India. They're so different. Varanasi, I couldn't bear Varanasi, but it's in my mind completely.
Yeah.
Everybody all over you, the con men, and trying to avoid everything, and yet the extraordinary display, and everybody swimming in that filthy river.
With Namami Gange and the Ganga project now, it's become beautiful. I think when you visit next time, you will be shocked and surprised at the same time. I can definitely assure you that. Yeah,
I was there not so long ago. But and the river, what surprised me was that the people who every morning would take, a swim or a dip, were still healthy.
Absolutely.
So, this is all the confusing thing about India, is that if I went in there, I would die, no doubt. But they were just playing and frolicking.
Right. So we saw you almost, I think, a year before the pandemic hit us, and you came down to us.
A few months.
A few months, yes, a few months before 2019, quite end of 2019, if I'm not wrong, when we had the joy of meeting you for the first time. We got acquainted, and then we said, okay, we are here to help. What made you choose India? What made you choose Bangalore? What made you choose Mukha? And what made you choose Dr. Girish Rao for your treatment?
Well, very simple actually, because I had a dentist in Edinburgh, And for some time I've been very, I had crowns and I had extractions and I have a gum issue, and for a long time my teeth have been like a really annoying thing. And my dentist was Dr Girish Rao.
Dr. Girish Rao, yes.
Oh, very well. And he was quite strange, but I loved him. I absolutely loved him. And he took me quite far down the journey of talking to the Edinburgh dentists. And me thinking, oh my God, I can't afford that, oh my God, do I, blah, blah. And then one day he said, I have an idea.
That struck him.
Yeah, and then that was it.
Yeah.
He put me in touch, and things took quite a long time. I wrote emails, and I thought, oh my God, they're never going to get back to me. And everyone said, are you mad going to India? And he was just fantastic. So I had no problem with, and also the website's great. You can see for yourself that it's not a hole in the wall establishment.
Absolutely.
And coming here, oh my God, so different to what the treatment I would have had there. I mean,
I'm so glad. Yeah.
completely different. I feel part of the family here, whereas there you would just be rushed in, have the work done, nobody would talk to you. Completely different.
Right. Absolutely.
So I tell everyone about it. I tell everyone about it.
Thank you so much. I mean, we're all passionate, so passionate about doing what we do. So we feel so happy. I mean, when we see people from all over the world, different parts of the world, like you, coming to us to get the treatment is really a great joy for us. So Ms. Sam McCall had a full mouth rehabilitation of her upper jaw with dental implants. So look at her smile now. So beautiful, isn't it?
It doesn't look like she has had one, isn't it?
That's the point. And actually, one more. When I came here, I said, and of course now I don't remember what my teeth were like, but I said to Dr. Girish, now I want that chip. I want this crooked bit. I don't want any flashy Hollywood teeth, thank you very much. I want them all the same as my other ones. And he looked at me as if I was mad.
No, they say that dentists are artists, just that these artists don't want to get their art acknowledged.
So, I mean, they are probably straighter than my teeth, but they're fine. And I also keep asking people, are they a little white? They're not white, but, I have a little concern that people will say, have you had your teeth done? I don't want anyone saying that.
I'm sure they won't. If you are happy, then nothing like it, right?
No, they're great.
So when we met in 2019, we did a part of the work, and then the pandemic struck, and we didn't know what's going to happen, when we're going to reach back at you, or what's going to happen. That was uncertain times, isn't it? What was going through your mind at that point of time?
Well, when I left here, I remember Dr. Anand and Dr. Girish said, no, don't bite anything, no bread, no nothing, just have baby food. You remember, these are plastic, they're not strong, they're going to break. So I went home and I didn't eat anything. I had porridge and soft food, and then slowly I just started eating. And they lasted 3 years. And then this summer, a little bit broke off at the back, and I thought, I better go back. I better go back before they break in half.
Yeah.
But they lasted 3 years. So I knew I would come back.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic. I mean, they were strong. I thought you would be so pleased that I didn't eat nuts and I didn't chew an apple.
Yeah.
But I pretty much ate everything.
Yeah.
So they're really strong, the temporary ones.
Yeah. That's the whole point, isn't it? I mean, food is something so basic for any human being, and to enjoy food, you need teeth. I mean, that's nothing more than that. So.
I always believe that food can make anyone happy. An apple will taste like an apple, however bad your day is.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic to have an apple.
Yeah.
He always gives an example of a masala dosa, which which is a famous dish of Bangalore.
However bad your day might have been, masala dosa will still taste like a masala dosa.
That's very true. That's very true.
So what was your thought process during the pandemic, and how bad was it in the place where?
Well, I was living very isolated, but I also have a condition, not that you know because I never have a cough, but I think I had pneumonia a couple of times when I was younger, and I have COPD. So I was on, and I keep saying to the doctor, give me another x-ray, I'm sure I don't have it, and they give me another x-ray and I still have it. So I was put on the vulnerable list, so really I didn't go anywhere. And if I went, I collected my shopping from a woodland, so they delivered shopping. I live in a very remote place in Scotland, and we washed everything that came through the shopping. We washed everything. It was crazy. You wouldn't. I mean, every bottle that came in, every tin. I put on gloves. It went into the bucket, and then slowly, of course, you didn't do that so much. But I was very careful, and I haven't had COVID. Everyone I know has had COVID, but I haven't, and I don't want it. I really don't, because long COVID is not something. I'm sure I wouldn't die. I've had all my vaccinations, but I don't want COVID.
No, not at all. We have you have so much of books to offer to the world, so there's a long way.
I really don't want long COVID. Well, you never know how it's going to take someone. Everyone had such a difficult time.
How do you feel coming back to India after the pandemic?
Great.
I mean, after being at home for so long, you were isolated for so long, now you can travel. Of course, you came for completing your treatment, that's one aspect of it, but still, coming out and, talking to people, doing a whole lot of things that you couldn't do for such a long time.
Yeah, and of course I've been doing that for a while in the UK, because I still wear masks if I remember in a shop in the UK, because we have quite high COVID still. But I have been doing everything. Although I, don't really go to cinemas, but I'm not in the city anymore. So I have to say that because I haven't had any teeth for 11 days, I have been in my hotel room.
Yeah.
Except for spending time with Sujatha. And also, thank God for the mask, because nobody really knows.
Oh yes, now.
So I'm back wearing my mask. But I have been working. I wasn't working very much in COVID because I was renovating a house. So I've been working very hard here on editing a novel. So it's been great having a routine in my hotel. I've been doing yoga in the morning, then working, then having my coffee, then working, maybe a little sleep. So out of my normal routine, it's been then coming to my dentist, 2 hours in the chair, with a pain, back home. It's been great. Reading.
Right.
I've had a lovely time. And I'm going to come back, and next time I might stay with Girish and Sujatha.
Oh, wonderful.
I have wormed my way into their house.
Wonderful.
We see a lot of people who do not really have teeth at whatever age they may be in their life, and they are quite reluctant, hesitant to get something done. They fear pain, they fear the discomfort. They're not just mentally ready. They have built walls in their heads, and they're not ready to break those walls. What would you like to tell those people? And some of them could be listening to our podcast.
Well, I'm a child of the 50s, right? And when I started to have cavities, which we all ate too many sweets as children, it was the most painful thing in the world going to a dentist. No anesthetic. I had 2 abscesses. They were drilled out with no anesthetic. And I had a terror of the dentist. I mean, as soon as I'm in a dentist chair, I'm tense. And I don't think my children will ever be afraid of the dentist because they've never had those experiences. So, I mean, I came here, I was pretty nervous of having all my teeth taken out. I was pretty frightened. I actually did a very stupid thing. I put on my headphones and I had a story playing. And Girish took out all my teeth. I felt nothing. But the noise came through my headphones.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until I took them off and he did one more tooth. I think it was one down here. And suddenly I realized it wasn't even very loud. But I heard a really loud drill. I mean, that was like very stupid, so I did not have my headphones on. but no pain at all. So it's entirely different now, you know. Obviously you feel the injection, but that is a second, and then nothing, just joy. So get them done, especially if it's for free.
We were just, before we started recording this, we were just listening to a small anecdote which Sam was telling. Can you please tell us about the story where back in the UK in the 50s, the elite class had all the teeth taken out? I mean, can you please narrate that to us?
Yeah, I mean, someone might correct me about being the 50s, and it could have been before then, because I know I wasn't offered it. Maybe it was before the 50s, maybe it was earlier than that, but there was a time, and you know, if you Google it, you'll see it, when 20-year-old girls, for their birthdays, when they were 21, would be given by their parents, if they had enough money, to have all their teeth taken out, top and bottom, everyone, and to have a beautiful sparkling pair of dentures, which then they would have for the rest of their lives, obviously. Now, so this woman who I was talking to, she was 80. So she must have had it taken out when she was 20, so that you can work it out anyway. She's 80
60,
now.
Yeah.
And she has the same dentures that she had then, which apparently are very big for her mouth. So I just can't imagine. I can't imagine doing that. And certainly, so she's 10 years older than me. So yeah, whatever that means.
Yeah.
10 years before. But yeah, that was the thing. If you were lucky, you had all your teeth taken out at 20.
Can you just imagine? I mean, how that would feel? Those were the things those were the thought process at that point of time, because as you said, the pain was terrible without anesthesia.
Because of dentistry was such a nightmare if you had bad teeth. And nobody cleaned their teeth properly, everyone ate a lot of sugar, it was considered, I think you were considered richer the sweeter your diet. So there were all these things that contributed to a very painful, and also we're not really given our teeth to last, are we? You know, we live so long now, whereas there was a time, I think, when you didn't live, expectations of life was maybe 40,
Much
50.
lesser.
So maybe you didn't have the issues that someone of 70 who still wants teeth. You still want to chew when you're 80.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think our oldest patient is 94, and of course we've given them full set of implants with teeth, and it's beautiful to see them just enjoy food, as simple as that.
And however hard they looked after their teeth, they would not have teeth at 90. Is that right?
Yeah.
So we're not meant to live that long.
No,
we are meant to live that long, but with the assistance of implants.
You can say that. Yeah.
We're always here to help with the advances in anesthesia, with the advances in technology such as implants. I think there is no limit or no boundaries that we have to, no matter how long you live happy.
Absolutely. And eat good food.
Right.
So, when we look at the history of mankind, let's go back 1,000 years, 1,500 years. They said that in order to complete your healthcare treatment, you should visit the East, because East had the ikigai sort of living in Japan, and then there were Indian surgeons like Sujatha who came up with the first rhinoplasty of the nose. The first ever plastic surgery was done in India. And then, of course, the West took over. Our mentor, Dr Girish Rao, he himself trained in the UK, and now we have quite a lot of our patients coming from the West to the East. So, what would you like to comment on the balance between East and West that constantly seems to be evolving?
I'm not sure I can really comment. I mean, what I do know, I tell you, I can make one comment. When I was in the UK, somebody said to me, what you need to do is you need to make sure that the dentist that's giving you your prosthesis is not going to make it out of this, whatever it was. So I wrote, Dr Girish, I have to ask you the question, do you promise me that you won't make, because if I went into our dentist, it could be out of this. And Dr. Girish wrote back and said, we haven't used that material since the 1950s. So that's a comment. And so I realized immediately that India was way ahead of us in terms of dentistry. I mean, we have well, anyway,
Yeah.
from that point of view,
Yeah.
anyway, I just found that so funny. So I was able to say that to the people who talk to me about it. They be careful because you won't get the same treatment as I'm going to get.
Yeah.
But as for the other stuff, I was talking to Girish yesterday about NHS and all of that, and it does seem that we have lost our way at the moment. And then my son-in-law is an eye surgeon, and I was saying that to him last night, and he was agreeing. So he was saying, yes, in 1994, when all the managers came in, this is surely what's been the demise of the NHS. So that's exactly what Dr Girish was saying, that we're in a mess in the UK at the moment. And India is forging ahead.
Absolutely. We are very fortunate to be in the limelight across the world right
Yes.
now, because India is forging ahead in a lot of ways, and I'm sure even with healthcare, we will be able to provide the best of the treatment to anybody across the world, even our people. So absolutely honored to do that. Would you like to introduce your book to our audience, and would you like to tell a few words about it, because we are very excited to know?
Yeah. So, although I have two more novels that aren't yet published, these are published, and this one is called Call Billy,
Call Vidhi.
with a phone number. And if you were to phone this number, Billy would answer.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So it would cost you some money from India because it's a UK number. But he would answer, and Billy is very drunk, and he's in a pub, and he's lost his, he thinks his phone's out of battery.
Okay.
So he's shouting down the phone to his friend, who he hopes is the phone call is from.
All right.
So it's a message he's left on his phone. And he's saying, don't go home, Stevie. And then he says, I love you, Stevie, I love you. And then the message cuts. So that's a marketing gimmick that's rather good, actually.
It's wonderful. We would definitely call Billy.
So, yeah, well, and when I do readings, I have it on a loudspeaker, and one of the first things I do is call, and then Billy's voice booms out on the loudspeaker. It's set in Edinburgh, which is a city I used to live in, and it's a story about a family breakdown, really. And a lot of the time I'm focusing on the children. So in this particular family, there's a 15-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy. And I take the complete family, but I'm very much interested in the effects of the difficult family life on the children and how it gets carried on and on and on through more generations. So although that's disguised, that is what I'm trying to do, is to illuminate the nitty-gritty of very sad, complex families. And then this is a small book with, I think, about 9 short stories called Shortcuts. And what can I say about them? I never set out to write a short story. I take my I do so much work on a book, I'm sure, as every author does, that you have huge passages that you've worked on, and then you decide to take out. And I have a huge folder of these on my computer. And if I'm thinking of writing a short story, or if I think if I feel particularly sad about taking out a piece of writing I've maybe been working on for a year, I'll try and adapt it into a short story of its own. And that I love doing, because it's just a different challenge. But I can't think of a short story. But if I have something down, then I can chip like a sculptor until it forms a short story. And we have different shorts. I mean, short stories now, it's become fashionable to not have to have the perfect little ending. You know, it's just can be a little snapshot of a part of life. So, that I like these.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, because we have also got a copy of it. I think all of you should get a copy of both the books, because we loved reading it. I mean, I mean, it's such a short read and it's such a nice read that you can just, have a sip of tea and go through all the stories and you feel like, oh, there's so many things that I can remember out of this. So it's really beautiful.
You need to, I don't think you can get them in hard copy here in India. I'd be surprised if Amazon, because there's a stockist in the UK.
In the UK, yes.
I doubt they send them here. But you can probably get them in e-form. And I meant to ask you to see. My phone, I can't do it because it just takes me to the UK, but it would be interesting to see if you could get them
Absolutely.
as an ebook.
We will also put in a link so that anybody who's interested can, for your website.
I'll post you one. It'll cost me more than books worth, but I will post you one.
No, not at all. They'll get to know you, and then if we want the book, then we can definitely ship few
we can get them here.
People who love to read here, and then we can give. Why not? I mean, world is small now. There's no issues. I mean, anywhere from anything across the world, we can still get.
Exactly.
So, thank you so much. You've been very kind with your time as well as your patience in talking to us, having such a wonderful conversation which we will remember for the rest of our lives, and giving the world these two beautiful books. Thank you very much.
We wish you well. We wish that the world gets more of your work. We get more of your thoughts and the process that goes behind all your writing, and of course world gets more of your smile.
Exactly, my smile. And I would like to say one more thing, is that the book that I've written about India, I've been having very interesting conversations about maybe trying to find an Indian publisher, because that would be fantastic for me, rather than go to the UK. So I hope to come back and meet some publishers.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Looking forward to having you here again.
I've got a lot of teeth maybe.
No, that will be there for some more time. Not just for any treatment, but such a lovely thing to meet you, have a conversation, come by, say hi, maybe have meetings with everybody.
It's been great. I feel I have a new family. It's very nice.
You do.
It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Vidhi, the podcast is dedicated to tales of healing and facilitators of health and well-being. This is a Mukha facial surgery initiative produced and brought to you by Dr Girish Rao and Mrs. Sujatha Girish. The podcast is hosted by Dr Sri Gauri and Dr Sai Swaroop. Thank you for listening.